What up? Let's not lose any time. They're resuming the search on that missing Malaysian airline. I'm all in. Like, I love legend stories, even though they when they built on tragedy. I'm sorry, but it was a spectacular disappearance. So you can't have you. There's just no way to not call it mysterious and whatever. And I really want to know what happened to that one. I watched the documentary. I watched the Netflix series. It was, and they're starting to resume because they really, I guess, they're not letting that itch go. They're just not, and I'm all in. So let's see what CNN has to say about that. That stuff disappeared outside of Kuala Lumpur. So ooh, I guess that's the way to start a new year. Everything that was swept under the rug or like almost forgotten about. Yeah, they're resuming it. Let's see.
More than a decade after Malaysia Airlines flight MH370
A
vanished
decade,
from
boys.
radar shortly after taking off from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia's Transport Ministry has now announced that a private marine robotics firm will resume a deep-sea search for the Boeing 777 tomorrow morning. CNN's Tom Foreman.
Yeah, we got the help of robots, and we can use it for our advantage. And that's one of them. That's one of them. So make good use of that. I'm glad.
Is joining us. He's here with me in the Situation Room. So what's this new search about, Tom? How is it different from all the previous searches?
In some ways, it's the same. Ocean Infinity is the company behind it. They did this back in
Ocean
2018 with no
Infinity.
results. We don't have details on why the company behind it. They did this back in 2018 with no results. We don't have details on why exactly they've narrowed it into this one area, which is about the size of Connecticut, a little bit bigger. So pretty big, but comparatively small
Yeah.
for all the space out there. They will be using a fleet of underwater drones to look after this, and this is called a no find, no fee deal. If they find something, they get $70 million. If they don't, they get nothing as they try to take on what has become an enduring mystery.
Yeah.
Good night. Those were among the last words from the cockpit of the Malaysia Airjet with 239 people aboard. The
Damn.
last words before authorities say it took.
I've never been scared of flying, but there's some stories that just makes my gut turn, and that's one of them. That's just one of them. One of those stories where I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to turn into a statistic. I just don't. Damn, son.
An unexpected turn, flew out over the Indian Ocean, and disappeared from radar.
We are trying to do everything in our powers to find where the plane is.
A massive international search followed with planes and ships scouring thousands of square miles, each development bringing hope to desperate families.
If it's the plane, then we'll all be devastated, but we can at least grieve properly and go on with our lives.
But hours turned to
Damn.
days to weeks, still nothing.
Weeks to
I'm
months.
looking for my husband, and I want to know what happened to him.
The search moved underwater, with high-tech robotic subs and sensors probing the rugged darkness almost 3 miles beneath the surface of the Indian Ocean. The government reached for answers. Families grieved even more.
They really don't care about how we feel or what we have to say.
An official report laid out what was known,
crazy, bro.
but
what it doesn't tell us is who did what, where, when, and why on the night.
Yeah.
I've been trying to come up with every scenario I could.
Like one of the things that they didn't understand, like what was like really questionable about that decision, was to turn that flight back around. It was just, how can I say? I mean, like, why did they do a 180-degree turn? Why? Why? They didn't stay on course. They went off course. Why?
Just explain this away, but I haven't been very successful.
The theories seemed endless. The captain had a flight simulator at home. For a while, questions swirled around whether he and the co-pilot might have cut communications and intentionally ditched the plane. The idea of a hijacker or terrorist taking over and crashing it came up too. Mechanical questions appeared in media everywhere. Did batteries in the cargo hold catch fire? Did the pressurization fail?
What if all the power went out, everything went dark, and everything failed?
There was no proof for any of it, just scattered evidence coupled with speculation about how long the jet flew, which direction, and where it might have come down. More than a year after the disappearance, a few parts washed up along the African coast.
Well, if ultimately this is a piece of the wing, then that little thread of hope that I've been holding.
Bro, I've never heard of that. A piece of the plane was washed off to the. Bro, how come I never heard of that? What the hell?
This is a piece
What
of
the
the
hell?
wing, then that little thread of hope that I've been holding on to will have to break.
But still, no answers about a plane that vanished 39 minutes after takeoff.
39
The thing
minutes.
is, there have been consistently small clues, Wolf, that have pointed to this thing or that thing that haven't been.
Like, if we're not getting a straight answer, there's two explanations. Either it's the government, or second it's the government. Now, second it's the companies behind it. They're scared. They're scared of the blowback, and it's better to live with a mystery than admit guilt or like claim accountability. There's probably like something behind that. Some people being paid off to be quiet. Because how can I mean, like, yeah, the Indian Ocean, and the ocean is vast. I think water is 2/3 of our whole universe. Whole surface is covered. The Earth's surface is 2/3 covered in water, and 1/3 is land. So that's absolutely wild. That's you can't even fathom that. That's bro, what the hell? But that a plane goes completely missing without any trace. That was like that one video that where like three dots were circling the plane and the plane was disappeared. That was it turned out to be fake as well. That was one of the first AI videos, and it was crazy good. So that people thought like, yeah, aliens got it. Uh, and but I'll be honest, I was believing that too, because I was trying to hold on to something extraterrestrial, or maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's the reason why we can explain it. But that new search for the missing MH370 plane that the robotic, I'm really intrigued with that idea. And I gotta say, I gotta respect that hustle that they're not giving up.
Able to be entirely dismissed, nor have they led to an answer. But I want to point this out because it's an interesting measurement. This thing is 2.5 miles down. Even if they search an area as big as Connecticut and do it very, very well, remember the Titanic was much, much bigger, and it took 73 years to find that, and they knew where it went down. Yes, technology has advanced a lot, but this is a big challenge. So it's good they're looking again. I would not think people should get their hopes up.
Excellent
All right,
reporting
fair.
as usual, Tom Foreman. Thank you very, very
Fair.
much. I want to get some more analysis.
Yeah. That's not bad. That was actually a good. It took them 73 years. Oh damn, yeah. It's way bigger. That boat. I didn't think about that. That's crazy.
Right now, what's going on?
That's crazy.
Joining us, the CNN transportation analyst and former Transportation Department Inspector General Mary Schiavo. Mary, thanks so much for joining us. So many years later, where does a search like this even begin?
Well, the search begins really where it left off, with the mysterious pings, with what we called back then the handshakes from Inmarsat, with great amounts of data all analyzed by computers,
See,
which literally get better
turned
by the
around.
minute. And then
Why?
obviously some additional information that was provided by the Coast Guards of the world, including the United States Coast Guard, about drift theories and where things could have drifted over time. So this new search picks up where it left off with computer-assisted data. And that's where it's going to resume, hopefully with much better data to help them analyze where to look. And then they have new submersibles, which is a tremendous improvement.
So, Mary, realistically, is there any chance of finding something new right now? Didn't investigators use underwater drones last time around?
Yes, they did. And I guess one of the biggest issues last time around.
Oh, that's a company based in Texas. All right. And I got a good feeling when it comes to that company somehow, because like they're using like AI and on the road, like for that use, artificial intelligence is like the best for that one. So, ooh, please solve that mystery. It's getting ridiculous.
Was, of course, that the Malaysian government, there was this, big announcement that it turned off. The communications had been turned off. Yeah, you can't tell that unless you actually find the systems. And they lost contact with it when, in fact, it was visible on military radar. A huge difference between what was originally reported and how the facts came out. So they have analyzed that. And what they hope to find is any clue what happened to the plane and what happened to the people, and even pieces and parts. Remember when they found the flaperon a few years ago, was a piece of the wing? And that was hugely important because it showed signs of twisting. It showed sign perhaps of a violent crash from the air, not quietly settling on the ocean, sinking down. Any burn marks on any piece that they can find will be very helpful, because those lithium-ion batteries remained a huge issue. And if they would get so fortunate as to find parts of the plane, was the cockpit door still findable and locked? And everyone, of course, always talks about the black boxes. If they could find them this many years, over a decade underwater, if they could find them and get any data, it would be a remarkable record-setting thing. But that's very, very doubtful. They're not very big, and seawater has made its intrusion by now.
What lesson, Mary, do you think the aviation industry has learned from this?
Well, they did learn some lessons. We can honestly say that some things have changed. There are now new tracking rules as you fly around the world. Most countries put in strict limits on lithium-ion batteries in the cargo hold. Remember, this cargo hold was full of them, that and mangosteens. So those requirements have increased. While there is absolutely no evidence, there's a lot of speculation that it was pilot suicide. More emphasis has been put on pilot mental health after this accident. Of course, then German wings, the suicide accident. So something.
Yeah, I remember German wings. That was a shit show, bro. There's so much tragic events going on in the world. I'm so glad that that I reached that point where I just can sip from the comfort of my safety, just watch and not be in the middle of a burning. Yeah.
Things have changed. What hasn't changed is the ocean is big and vast, and if people who are supposed to monitor the planes and follow that radar aren't at their duty stations doing their jobs, all the equipment in the world isn't going to help when you have to go look for a plane in a vast ocean. In the dark underwater. But some lessons have been learned and applied, but there are a lot more improvements that can be made.
One final question, Mary. This was a Boeing 777, a 777, a state-of-the-art jumbo jet. What lessons has Boeing learned from this?
Well, hopefully many, but...
Hopefully many. And that's where opinions drift from each other. Boeing hasn't learned anything. Look at that CEO. I hope he was removed, bro. That's human waste. That CEO is human waste.
At that time, there were, there were some issues. This was over 10 years ago, that there had been some breaches. Antennas had torn away and stopped the power system, allowed rapid decompressions, etc. There were other issues concerning the communications and the security of the cockpit door, which of course is not relevant if this was not an act of suicide. And again, there was no concrete evidence of that. But, Boeing had this lesson where Boeing really it was part of the investigation team, but because there was no aircraft, the focus really wasn't on Boeing. I think Boeing learned a lot more lessons after the crash of the two 737 MAX 8s. But for this one, the focus was, unfortunately, on the pilots and the pilot suicide theory, and on the reason why it was technically missing and why they allowed searches in the wrong place for 4 days, they meaning Malaysia, when the military radar had this plane on it. They could have seen in those.
They they're running from accountability. That's probably the biggest reason to describe this mess. They're probably running from accountability, paying people off instead of working on the mistakes. Boeing company, that CEO is a piece of shit. I'm saying it outright, and that's some hush hush, sweep it under the rug kind of work. That sounds like that. Like they searching for the plane even though military radar has picked it up somewhere else. So they diverting from the facts so that the story doesn't, you know what I mean? So it's bullshit. It's so bullshit that we even allow that.
4 days where it was going, and they would have had a much better chance of actually finding it. And in the end, the Malaysia government did accept some responsibility for that and did make payments to the families for the government's role in the disappearance, not in the crash.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time covering the disappearance of that plane.
Yes,
Harry
we did.
Schiavo, thank you.
Yeah. They're running from accountability. That's probably it. And like some people or like something, they hope to never recover the wreckage of that plane. They hope. It's so secret. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoy that video. I hope they will find it. And like, comment, and subscribe, turn on notification, let that bell ring you, and I am out.